Hey everybody, it's ASIC Eric, and we are gonna shoot some slick sand on this guy. The epoxy laid out quite a bit nicer. If you saw that last video, it was pretty chunky looking, but it leveled out pretty much okay. I can see looking at this that there's some little divots and things in it, so it's not quite right yet, but those are pretty hard to feel, so hopefully the slick sand will do the trick. It's a little cold in here right now. It's funny, it's actually warmer outside than it is in the garage. So we got 65 outside and 53 inside, so I've got the doors open, get things moving around in here a little bit, warm it up a little bit. 53 is still okay, but it's a little light. Well, that's going to be interesting to see how that turns out, because I mixed up 32 ounces of that stuff, which I knew was too much. That was way too much. I ended up only putting probably about 8 ounces on that panel. That first coat didn't go on very well. It was hard to spray. It was real thick and sputtery, so I had to reduce it. Then after that, the next 2 coats went on pretty heavy, I thought, but I still ended up maybe 10 ounces total, 8 or 10 ounces, didn't end up using that much. I realized the difference. It's about the same temperature as it was last time I sprayed this stuff, but last time I sprayed the slick sand, it was in the house because I'd never opened it, so it was sitting at a nice toasty 70 degrees or something. This time it was sitting out in the garage, so it was like 50 degrees or something, so it was, the material itself was a lot colder. So at that temperature it did not want to come out of the gun. At 70 or whatever it was last time, it didn't have any problems, but after I put some acetone in it, it came out fine. So you can see the panel. I mean, it looks like it's got a pretty good build on it, but you know, won't know until we sand it down. So it all looks pretty nice. There's a little spot right here that I know is a high spot on the panel where the metal was poking out. I'm hoping that'll block out. And you can still see, like I said, some little wonky spots in here. I may have to put a little glaze on some of those areas, but for the most part the panel looks pretty straight. I don't really see anything else that pokes out at me. There's that one spot there. I don't know if you can see that little high spot right there that I noticed before. That still seems to be there, but again, it might block out. Well, it's pretty straight though for the rest of the panel. We get a bunch of repairs in these areas, and that all looks pretty good. This spot right here looks a little funky. We'll see how all that turns out. But I didn't take the slick sand tight all the way up to this edge, so hopefully I don't have a thick edge there that I have to block off later. I think it's going to be okay. But anyway, that's it. So I'm going to let this stuff cook. This is Saturday, what is it, 28th? We're going to let this sit till Tuesday before I touch it again, so it should have enough time to cure up well. A little spot that looks a little iffy right there. But when we get the guide coat on it and block it down, we'll get a sense of how straight this thing is. So anyway, I'll tack that on to the end of this video when I do the blocking. Alright, we're picking up again. It is Tuesday the 31st. It's a little warmer today. 47 degrees outside, 54 in here. Not too bad. It's supposed to get up to probably upper 60s or 70 today, so pretty soon be able to open up the doors and have a nice little breeze flowing through here. But anyway, let me show you where we are. Okay, so here's the panel. It's been sitting since Saturday with the slick sand on it, and so we're gonna block it down today and see what kind of shape we're in. As I was reviewing this the other day, noticing excuse me, the flaws in it. So this body line right here gets too sharp in through this area, so I need to round that off a little bit. It's also got this funky little curve to it right there, so I need to definitely spend some time on that and try and get that to look better. As we commented in the other video, there's a little, you can't really see it now when it's dry, there's a high spot in here somewhere that I'm hoping will block out. That soft edge I did across the top there, even with that, it's still a bit harsh there. Not too bad. That'll sand out pretty easily right there. The rest of the panel's looking pretty nice. I don't really see anything that jumps out at me that's going to be a problem. So it's more just running the sanding blocks across it and see what we get. I got to run in the epoxy right there sticking through. So it's just hopefully everything blocks out nice, and then it's just a matter of some refinement on here and we'll be good to go, but we'll see. So we're going to start blocking. I'm not going to film this. It's the same procedure I used on the other quarter panel, so you can go back and look at that video. Okay, take a break right there and show you how things are going. So I tried to focus just on the sail panel and the upper part of the quarter panel here. And what I'm trying to do on the quarter panel line there is just go up to the body lines and stop before I switch and go from the other direction. As you can see, this line's pretty good. It's a little fuzzy across the top, but there is a radius right there, so I don't want it to be too sharp. As I mentioned before, this area was too sharp, so I was focusing on this part. I was just trying to get this line straight, because I said it had some warble to it right here. There's a big low spot right there I had to go after quite a bit, but luckily it blocked out. Didn't even break through the epoxy. So that's good. The sail panel blocked out beautifully, and that was kind of scary. I was worried about that high spot right there. You can see barely even broke through on that, and everything looks pretty good. The edges here are a little iffy. I'm not sure how much time I want to spend on those, because that's going to have the chrome trim over it anyway. So I'm probably just going to flatten this the best I can and just round it off. This area here I think is exposed, so I got to be a little more careful here. But you're reconstructing a round edge there, so it's a little tricky because all of this has filler in it here. I tried to make it as thin as possible, but we'll see how it goes. You can see here the metal's right there, so it's not too thick. The rest of the edges are looking pretty nice. I spent a lot of time on this edge here trying to get it nice, and I think I got it sorted out. This edge back here looks good. I'm going to need a little bit of glaze right there because that's too low. And this edge up here took a little bit of time to block out. Even with that soft edge up there, that still took some time. So I need to, next time I do it, I need to keep the slick sand away from that edge more than I did this time. I didn't spray right up to it, but just the overspray is thick enough that I had to go after that pretty hard. So anyway, that's that. You can see how much of the stuff is on the floor, so I sanded a good deal of it off. Now I'm gonna move on to this part up here. All right, we got everything blocked down there. Everything came out pretty nice. There was a few low spots that I had to come through and put some glaze on. I went through and cleaned up this window channel in here. That all looks pretty nice. I think this line across the top is good. It's nice and round here. And check the other side of the car. It does actually get a little sharper through here. Whether we have it right, I don't know. It's hard to tell, but it certainly looks nice. There's very little metal popping through. I hit a few places on this edge here, but mostly it came out fine. I will probably block this down a little bit more here just to thin it out. It's all nice and flat. You can see it's thin over here, but this is still pretty thick up and through this area, so I'll probably thin that out a little bit, just so it's not on thick. You can see it ghosting through in all these places here. So I think the level everywhere is pretty good. I don't think there's a lot left. I don't think it went on that thick as I commented earlier in the video. So I think we're good. So that probably was only half the amount of material I put on the other quarter panel with the feather fill. And like I said, I put, if you don't remember, 16 ounces of feather fill on that other side, and I got maybe 10 ounces of slick sand on this side because it just didn't spray out or something. but it was enough. Hang on one second. This is the wastage that I had from that, which is astonishing. And like I said, I mixed up 32 ounces. I ended up putting, I don't know, probably about 3 ounces of acetone in it. So at the end of the day, 35 ounces or something, and you can see we're at about 24. So about 11 ounces actually went on the car, which is not very much. Let me see if I can get this puck out of here. So again, I know this isn't a scientific test, but just to give you an idea. So this was from Saturday. You can see there's no shrinkage on this thing at all. I couldn't even hardly get it out of the cup. And when I did finally get it out, what you can see is the very bottom of it is still not cured, but most of it is. So that's pretty impressive considering how thick that is, that most of that ended up curing. Even though it was sitting inside that cup. So, you know, what is that? 5 inches deep, and most of it cured. Not bad. I know it's ridiculous, but I just wanted to show you that. All right, we're all done here. I think this thing's finished. We'll see. This spot right here I'm a little worried about. It looks a little harsh, but we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and put the epoxy on here, and fingers crossed everything's nice and smooth and there's nothing I have to go back and touch up. It looks really good. As I mentioned in another video, the PPG epoxy will take up to a 240 scratch on old surfaces, and I actually did have some 220, so I blocked this whole thing down in 180, then I went back and blocked it down in 220. Looks real nice. So there's not much to see here. I'll just kind of give you the quick pan around before I shoot. But I think everything looks good. I did fix this little low spot down here. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot a coat of epoxy over this whole panel here while I'm at it. And hopefully this quarter panel is done. That's butter. Alright, that's going to do it for today. I think you can see from the video that that turned out real nice. I think that panel's basically done. There's that one little spot on the lip that I showed you, if you could see it or not. There's a tiny little nick there that a little bit of glaze will take care of. Everything else looks just butter. It's real smooth, glassy. A couple of notes for myself and for others. That was about 14 ounces of DPLV epoxy to cover that, what you saw there. And I used the 1.5 tip. I realized this last time I sprayed the epoxy that the tech sheet said 1.4 to 1.6, and all this time I've been using a 1.3. So I put the 1.5 on today, and it definitely laid out smoother, and I think probably put more material out too, because I don't remember needing that much epoxy for an area that size. So that's good. but it laid out real smooth. I'll show you here. It's had a chance to level out for a few minutes and you can see what it looks like. Didn't put any runs in it as far as I can tell. And so it's good. It laid out real nice. I'm super happy with how that went. It's still not as glass smooth as Mr. Fireman 164 can get his epoxy laid out, but after today, I'll come back tomorrow and take a look at it. It'll probably have leveled out even more. It's only been about 5 minutes since I sprayed it. It tends to level out after a little while, so it may look really nice tomorrow. We'll see. But now the whole car, well, except for that, is black. So everything on the car is black, so it's pretty cool. Get a chance to see all, basically one color all the way around the car. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.